They say we make art to express ourselves, to share, to impress, to heal. But what if the truth runs deeper? What if your urge to create isn't just a habit or a gift? What if it's a divine assignment? You don't just make art, you channel it. You remember something ancient, something sacred. Each time your hand meets the page, the canvas, the keys, you weren't taught to create, you were called. And this is the voice you've been answering all along. The creator within you is not asking for perfection, only devotion. Here are the 6 sacred truths every soul-led artist eventually discovers. Most people walk through life asleep, eyes open, but souls numb. They see what is, you sense what could be. Where others see a cup, you feel the memory it holds. Where they see a silence, you hear a story waiting to be told. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a form of vision. You were born with the inner eyes to see what hides beneath the veil, to feel the quiet grief in someone's smile, to hear the music in the rain, to find poetry in shadows. You are tuned to a frequency the world has forgotten, and your art is the translation. Every time you create, you remind the world, there is more than what we see. There is soul in everything. In this chaotic world, where time moves fast and meaning is diluted, art is how you make the sacred visible again. A brushstroke becomes a prayer. A melody becomes a meditation. A story becomes a mirror for the soul. The ancients knew this. They carved truth into stone. They sang to the stars. They painted not for galleries, but for the gods, the ancestors, the spirits of the land. When you create, you step into that same lineage. You become a vessel for beauty to re-enter the world, not to entertain, but to awaken. Art is not just what you do, it's how you worship, not with temples or incense, but with your attention, your vulnerability, your presence. And in that stillness, something holy begins to move through you. Before language, before logic, there was only feeling. And sometimes, that's the only place our pain knows how to live. You felt it. That ache you can't explain. That memory that never quite formed words, but lives in your chest like a knot waiting to be untied. Creation becomes the ritual. Your art becomes the altar. And slowly, you begin to grieve, to remember, to release. This is why so many artists carry shadows, because you are called to transform what others suppress, to alchemize sorrow into song, shame into color, grief into light. You're not broken. You're just one of the few brave enough to feel everything fully and turn it into something beautiful. Time is always slipping. Moments vanish before we understand them. But you have the gift of remembrance. You can stop time with a sentence, trap a sunset in a photograph, etch a first kiss into melody. This is your magic. You take what is fleeting and make it stay. When the rest of the world forgets how sacred this life is, you remind them. You capture the sacred in the ordinary. The smell of your mother's kitchen, the rhythm of a stranger's laughter, the echo of a prayer whispered to yourself in the dark. These are not small things. They are eternity disguised as minutes. And your art becomes the proof that we were here. Every creator knows this moment. When the world fades, the self dissolves, and you're no longer the one doing the creating. Something else takes over, quieter than thought, wiser than words. The pen moves on its own. The colors choose themselves. The melody finds you. This is not inspiration. It is communion. You are not just making something. You are becoming something. A bridge, a channel, a witness to the sacred. You were never meant to force it, only to listen, to trust, to follow where the spirit leads. We are born whole, but life teaches us to forget. We put on masks. We chase approval. We shrink. We harden. We silence the voice inside. But the moment you sit down to create, that original self comes back. The child who painted with her fingers. The dreamer who heard stories in the wind. The soul who wasn't afraid to feel too much. Art is not a product. It's a homecoming. Every line you draw, every word you write, every note you sing is you whispering back to yourself, I remember you. I remember who we were before the world told us to forget. So why do you create? Not for fame, not for perfection, not even for healing. You create because the soul longs to speak, and art is its most sacred language. You create because something ancient lives in your hands, because something divine whispers through your heart, because beauty, real beauty, is always an act of courage. You are not just an artist. You are a priest of wonder, a keeper of meaning, a weaver of truth. And in a world drowning in noise, your art is a doorway back to stillness. So create, not because the world needs more content, but because it needs more light. Create because your soul came here to remind us what's sacred. And that is reason enough. Thank you for joining us on your journey. For more content, please hit the subscribe button.